I'm Dan Howell with Coldwell Banker, and this is Foreclosure Friday. We are on site of a foreclosure here in Westmoreland County. So I figured I'd start this because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about foreclosures. There's a lot of information that people really don't have that I thought that I would share with you. So throughout the weeks, there's going to be a couple of installments of Foreclosure Friday. And hopefully every week we are going to have a guest that's going to tell you a little bit more than what I can actually tell you about the foreclosures. So this week, hopefully, we have a guest, and I actually think she's at the door. Oh, we do. It's Elena with Preferred Settlement Solutions. Come on in, Elena.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely. Come on in.
This is a nice room.
It is a nice room. So, as you can see, you're not going to walk into a foreclosure and it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to just slap on a coat of paint and go about your day. But, you know, it's going to need a little bit more than that, but at the end of the day, it might be worth something. But Elena has a little bit of information for us. She can tell us a little bit about what the difference is between closing a foreclosure or just having a regular deal.
I can. Thank you, Dan. The differences in having a foreclosed property and closing on that are that the buyer would have a little bit of extra cost. They would pay for all the municipality testings, die test, occupancy inspections, all of the lien letters and tax certification letters, along with all of the transfer taxes normally as well. The closing process typically takes between maybe 2 to 3 weeks, a little bit longer if the property has a lot of liens and judgments.
I saw on TV though that some people can close in 5 days.
That's highly unlikely, Dan. However,
as we figured,
title agencies do the best that they can to get it closed quickly.
And Elena's one of the best, for sure.
Thank you, Dan. You are one of the best as well.
Okay, so we're going to go take a little quick tour and we're going to continue on a different one.
It's quite chilly in here.
It is chilly in here. So another tidbit of information about a foreclosure is that typically the utilities are not on. So you won't be able to test a lot of these things because there's no water, there's no electric, there's no gas. As you can see, we're all kind of bundled up.
That's right.
And we have our flashlights handy.
Thank you, Dan.
Come on this way.
My flashlight doesn't work. This is not a very good battery.
You got that one on purpose.
I know.
So, yeah. Anyway, here's another nice room. You can see it. There's nice exposed brick. I mean, it seems like they started to do a little bit of work on the property.
Quite colorful in here. They look very
It is. So, with Foreclosure Friday, we're actually going to pair this with Terminology Tuesday. So, I know there's a lot of terminology that realtors like to use out there, and you might hear us use some of it today. And we're going to take Terminology Tuesday. It's just not going to be a live event, but we are going to say, I don't know, let me think, how can we describe this room?
Bright and cheery.
Bright and cheery. So bright and cheery could have a lot of different definitions to it. Or maybe bring your own ideas. Bring your own ideas is another fantastic terminology. I'd be more than happy to define all the definitions of bright and cheery on Tuesday. So come on this way.
That's a really nice building.
It is a nice building. And the fireplace, exposed brick.
This could be a really nice room. Okay.
So, if you thought the last room was bright and cheery, we definitely have a bright and cheery room in here as well. But anyway, so if anybody is interested in foreclosures, I work with all types, so I mean I can work with foreclosure or I could work with any other deal as well. So for the grand price of $30,000 or something like that, like $29,900 or something, this house can be yours.
Wow, that's a lot of house for the money, Dan.
This is a lot of house for the money. But we're only going to go through the first floor today. Elena, is there anything else that you wanted to share with anybody about the closing process? I know.
Well, just really that. I like how you put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Just that normally 2 to 3 weeks for closings, and you know, sometimes additional delays when it comes to the seller, depending on which bank is involved.
That is correct.
Sometimes, depending on if it doesn't close on time, the seller tries to charge $100 a day to extend the closing out if it's the buyer's fault for not closing on time.
Or the settlement company's fault.
Or the settlement company's fault.
Which that would never happen.
Normally also, Dan, don't you have to get proof of funds before you can even put an offer in, right?
You do. So most of the foreclosures, foreclosures that don't have electricity, foreclosures that don't have the water, that don't have the gas on, it's very hard to get these properties appraised. So if the bank is not going to allow you to turn on the utilities, you're going to have a hard time with funding. There are reconstruction loans out there, 203K loans, that I hope to someday have a 203K person here to tell us a little bit more. Those would be the best type of loans for a property such as this that doesn't have the utilities turned on, because all of your reconstruction costs will be built into the mortgage. But I'm not a mortgage guy, so I can't really go too much into that. Or cash. Now with cash, you would have to have the proof of funds, and those funds would have to be available. So if you have your funds in a retirement, or if you have your funds in a stock market, a lot of times the banks want to see that it's available right away. But I think this is going to conclude our session of Foreclosure Friday for this week. Elena, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you, Dan.
And we will hopefully see you next Friday.
Happy closing.
Thank you.